approve the final budget in August. So we are going to start from the right, because I always tell y'all that's the most boring project fund we have to do. And I've got in here $1,250,000 in capital projects. That's the sales tax, excuse me. And then capital outlay of $1,750,000. Of course, that fluctuates depending on how fast our other projects go, how fast our money from the state comes in. Right now, we're still waiting on middle school HVAC money. As we do the project, I'm submitting it, so that changes. But all that being said, we would end June of 2021 with $1.1 million. Then in the school nutrition fund, that's the middle one. And Mr. Shippey did this budget, and I agree with him. I told him when he turned it into me, I said, I totally understand. He said, right now, it's a gamble or a guess. I said, I agree. We don't know how much we're going to win in school. It totally affects his revenue if he's not serving meals. So this is the best shot we've got on July the 16th. So if that is being said, we would close out June of 2021 with $554,000. Are there any questions about those two columns before I move on?
Mr. Shippey, undoubtedly did a calculation. He didn't round his numbers off.
He didn't round his numbers off?
Yeah. 497.
We just go with it, James.
Okay.
Hey, in this budget season, that's the least of our worries right now. This has by far been the worst budget year.
Okay.
All right, so moving on over to the general fund, we're looking at collecting $6.4 million. That does not have our reforestation money in it. We always kind of hold that back. If we get it, that's great. But it's such a gamble with them on the timing of it. Then if you'll look at the state and federal sources, it's $10,835,000, which is down $1.8 million from this year. That in FY20 was helped offset by the CARES federal program money. We got a little less than $900,000 for the CARES money that you keep reading about in the paper on the internet. CARES money's coming. Well, Early County got a little less than $900,000. I've already used and drawn down $450,000 as of June 30, because I wanted to get it to Early County before they took it back. So we have $450,000 that will help offset our expenses going into the FY21 school year, and that is factored into these expenditures. And so if you want to go down, this includes, Rowan's going to ask y'all to approve a calendar with 5 furlough days, or excuse me, contract reduction days. Did I get that right, Laura? And the big number on here that's still a question mark, Rowan and I talked about it this morning. The big question mark is that maintenance and operation number. We are struggling with that, folks. Normally, it's not a hard number to come up with at all, but with us, I mean, like last month, last week, y'all approved, $48,000 of filling stations for water bottles. They're constantly getting sanitizer in and disinfectant and mask and
Go ahead.
you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So we're that number could very well be updated, but it's 2.1 right now. And all I can say is right now, that's the best we've got on July the 16th. When we meet in August, I hope to have a harder and fast number on exactly what's coming in. But what we run into, these companies send us something and we order 10 gallons of so-and-so, and it's great, they have it in stock, but you're only allowed to order 5. So, I mean, we're having that with every product just about we're ordering. So that number, that's kind of makes me uncomfortable number. All right, we are closing out June 30 of FY20 with $5.1 million. So if we stick with this budget with the revenue and expenditures, we would end June of 2021 with $2,259,000, which seems plenty, right? So why do we need contract reduction days? Well, first of all, look two numbers up. This budget with 5 contract reduction days, we're losing $2.8 million. That's including the $450,000 to help offset with the CARES money that we have not been guaranteed for FY22. So anybody within the school system that calls me, I keep saying FY21 is not our problem here, folks. We're good for FY21. FY22 is a big concern to me because we were cut $1.8 million. Who knows if we're gonna get CARES money? All right, then another huge problem Early County has right now is since the last day of school to today, and I got the number probably 2 o'clock today, we're down 86 students. You're looking at $600,000, and that's if no more withdrawal between now and school starting, or when they report FTE in October. That's huge, folks. That's roughly $600,000.
You already figured that in, or are you saying?
That will, the way FTE works is they report it in October, and it affects the following year funding. So we're funded for October of 19 right now. Thank goodness. But October of 20 will affect the FY22 revenue. It's always a year behind. So that's a big concern to me. And I can tell you it's roughly $600,000 if we stick with the drop in 86 students. I can't tell you exactly because I have no idea. The FTE are weighted. Gifted children are weighted differently than special ed children are weighted regular versus vocational versus middle school, on and on and on. So I can't give you an exact, but an approximate is $600,000. So that's why Roman and I are concerned about the FY22 and feel like we need to do at least 5 contract reduction days. The $5.1 million that we're closing out June 30th with does include, we did get reforestation money last week, or I picked it up Monday of this week, so that was huge, so that is included in that. And that's money we would have normally gotten in like, hopefully March, April timeframe, and we got it in July.
600 plus, 580.
Like 580, 590, something like that.
And we was around that same number last year, right?
Last year was a little higher.
A little bit.
A little higher. And so everybody, if the board approves this tentative budget in the board meeting, it will be advertised on our website, and then we'll approve the final budget in August. And we're so, I feel like everybody knows this, but we're so behind in the budget season because the legislature, you know, they were quarantined or sheltered in place or whatever, and they just, we didn't get an allotment sheet for what, last week? Maybe 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks.
Y'all talking with wins projected?
Haven't seen it. I never.
Anything, you just use it historical numbers, right?
Correct.
No increases or decreases.
Correct. I don't get that. I usually hope to get it the last week of July.
Property values go up.
A lot.
So we got a little bit there. If we keep benefit.
The 86 students, are they, is that usual when we go through, or?
Oh, no, that's way high.
And right now, do you have any, I know why is that?
A lot of, well, let me back up. The senior class that graduated, between the senior class of last year and the senior class of this year, is like a difference of 32, 36, something like that. That was a very large class we just graduated. And, the other like 50, I can't say a lot of, I can't speak for all of them, but I know a lot of them are going to Tala, Spring Creek, SGA, to smaller school settings. The charter schools have hurt us tremendously at team-wise. What other questions do y'all have?
I want to ask one, I'm stupid, I don't know, but I don't know. I'm interested in the CARE Act money. You know, I want to know what was that for, or was it for a specific need, or you can do anything?
There were several items you could use it for, or bullet list also. One of them was to help offset contract reduction days. We know it's furlough days, which is what we chose to use ours for. And I've also got 6 months of utilities in there to help offset anything, to help offset the general fund budget. Then we could use it for any kind of disinfecting, sanitizing, the hotspots, technology, anything like that we could have used. But what we budgeted early counties for, we have in there a good bit of salaries just to take them out of the general fund, and 6 months of utilities and disinfecting. I don't know if y'all remember, he did the elementary school for $13,000, and so that $13,000 came out of the federal fund.
It was real flexible though. It wasn't as stringent as some federal funds. Real flexible.
I just thought maybe the money, CARE Act money could have maybe bought devices or something for students.
Devices.
As we going through this pandemic.
And we looked at that, and we can go back and use some other federal funds for it if we choose to do so. We could also, don't forget, technology is in our SPLOST budget. But with us at that point, the legislature wasn't in session, we had no idea if it was between 1.8 million or 2.8 million. We had nothing to go on. We needed to help FY20 out as fast as we could.
And that money has to be spent by when
September 30th.
of this year.
No, let me back up. I think we've got to June of 2021, but I've got it where we're spending it by September of 2022. 2020, excuse me, there are too many twos. By September 30th, Early County will have drawn down every penny we can get to, unless they give us more.
And I checked on that, Stella, you know, I had been in touch with BOE and they were talking about more CARES Act money coming, but it's just for those districts that have private schools that have lost money to the private schools. So ours did not use any of the federal funds that came the CARES Act money, so we are not getting any more money.
So there you go. If you get asked, I keep wanting to say furlough day, contract reduction day, and TRS has had us change the language in case y'all know. I ain't got it all politically correct. The teachers' retirement said start calling it the contract reduction day. Anyway, it's $70,000. So the 5 furlough days are $350,000.
Any questions?
All good?
Anybody out there? Got any?
It was,
Learning
you got
curve?
a long list.
Okay. We would like to stay up there.
You can close the meeting out, and we can make polite conversation until 6 when you open the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, no questions, no comments, we will adjourn the meeting.
What?